Morning, you lot. Now, as usual, I've got myself in a bit of a pickle. Yesterday, or the day before, I couldn't wait. You've seen there what I have got for this, but we'll talk about them in a minute. I couldn't wait for those to turn up, so I thought to myself, right, let's get this going. And what I did was, I filmed a lovely long video. It was a nice one. It was probably about an hour long. Playing around with this, getting it to run. You know what I'm going to say already. I know that those of you that know me, you know what I'm going to say. But anyway, we got it to run. And we went over it, and it was quite good. And yeah, it runs well. Spoiler, it runs well. Didn't run it too long, because didn't want to annoy the old neighbours on the other side. Don't care about grumpy bollocks that side. But the other side, don't want to annoy them, be in the middle of the day. So, didn't run it too long, but it ran really, really well. But then, of course, I deleted all that footage. Of course I did. Yeah. So, you're just gonna take my word for it. Unfortunately, it is the way it goes. Never mind. So, later on that day, these turned up. Now, these are bloody hard to get hold of, to get a set of wheels at a reasonable price. Now, the person who sold these has done the classic trick. You can do this trick with real actual car tyres or just RC ones. And what you do is you coat them in a lovely film of tyre shine or silicone spray. You don't even bother to clean them. As you can see, this person hasn't even bothered to clean the tyres before he's sprayed the silicone spray on. He's just sprayed it over all the dirt, which is great. Now obviously I could see this shine when I was looking at this listing on the interwebs of the cobwebs of the ethos, and I said to myself, for the price of what these are genuine HPI Savage wheels and tyres. You don't really get these tyres pattern in good condition anymore. They've gone to a different, slightly more gay tyre pattern for the new Savages. This Savage X would have had that slightly more rainbow tyre pattern. These ones are proper Savage tyres. Now normally, because these are usually quite old, 20 or more years old, they've normally all split and cracked around the edges. Much like this handy dandy example here. In fact, it's not got too many, it's just got that one quite bad split there, but I think it's on the other side. There's quite a few more splits. So they're hard to come by. And I could see that he's done the nasty little trick there of the tyre shine. And so I thought it's worth the risk, because the tyre shine hides the cracks. For pictures, not in face to face, but for pictures. Anyway, they turned up, and they turned out to be in good condition. There's not any splits or cracks. If I was really going to take the mickey out of the seller, I could say he could have at least cleaned the tyres before he put the tyre shine on, but we're not. The main thing is the little hex thing, as you lot call it in there. I'll just call it a, what I call it, I don't know what I call it. Just a blooming hole. Anyway, that is not all chewed up on any of them. They're all great condition. Look at that. Because what happens is, over time, if one of the wheel nuts, for example, isn't quite done all the way up, it allows a little bit of movement in there. And then the hex drive bolt nut thing that goes in there moves around, and then it's strips all this out, and this all becomes round, so it doesn't actually grip anymore. It doesn't matter how tight you do up that wheel nut, it won't grip, because, well, it's obviously that shape what stops the axle from spinning inside the rim, and if it's rounded off, it doesn't work. And unfortunately that happened to my Savage 21, and I had to super glue it all together, because I couldn't find a new set of wheels at that time. But now I've got this set that I'm going to put on this Savage X. Anyway, so that's all good. So it turned out to be good in the end after all. It was a bit of a risk, as I said, because that little trick can hide all the cracks for pictures. That's normally why people do it. If you see a set of tyres that's been coated in tyre shine or silicone spray, you need to be very, very wary if you're looking to buy a good set of tyres. A good set of tyres won't need to be tarted up with any kind of silicone spray, because, well, they're good tyres. Silicone spray makes things look good, just like makeup makes people look better than what they are. That's not true. Most people look better without the makeup than they do with it. Oh dear, digging myself a hole now. Anyway, let's put these on here and see what happens. Yeah, so I was pretty gutted about that, to be fair. In fact, I was more than pretty gutted. I was extremely gutted when I realised that I had deleted all that footage again. And I know some of you are going to come up with all these different solutions of how I can prevent it happening in the future, because I do it quite often. Normally, if I don't film a video and then edit it within a day, what happens is I normally end up deleting the footage, because I either forget that it's on the memory card, then I format the memory card, or if I put it on the computer from the memory card, I put it on the computer. Once it's on the computer, I format the memory card, right, to start a new video. But then it's on the computer and I put a little folder and I say what it is. For example, this one would have said Savage X. But then sometimes I just go along and delete a load of videos, files and audio files and stuff that are no longer needed, and it gets caught up amongst all of them and I don't realise it. So I delete them, empty the recycle bin, and then it's not until like the next day or a couple of days later I realise, I think to myself, I put all this footage up with that footage, blah blah blah. And then I'm like, oh no, where's all that footage gone? And then I'm like, oh, I know what I did. I deleted it with the other stuff. What a cock. And I know there's methods and ways of undeleting stuff that you've deleted and all this other rubbish. I'm not going down any of those routes. Been down them routes before. None of them work. Scam programs that you have to pay for that don't work anyway, and all they are is malware. Yeah. Where's that bloody hole? There it is. Anyway, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Are you listening to me? I said it doesn't matter. And the reason it doesn't matter is because you're here now. And we're going to put this together. We're going to put some radio gear in it. And I'm going to have to go and nick a battery off of something else, because I think I've got a decent hump pack in another Savage. So I think what I'll do... I've got no handle. Bloody, I need to buy one then. I'm not in any kind of rush to buy the handle. I've got the wheels because I need the wheels to drive it. Obviously can't drive it without the wheels. But I don't need the handle. The screws are there. They're a plastic handle on these ones. The older Savages had a metal one, as we all know. These ones are a plastic handle. But there seems to be quite a lot of those for sale around amongst those cobwebs. So I don't think that's any cause for any concern. I'm just gonna give the truck a bit of a test drive, and then as and when I feel like it, I'll go and order myself up a handle. And yeah, that'll be that. Bloody little fruit flies all over the place. I don't know where they come from. Anyway, that's that in there. I've been really excited about this Savage. I don't like ones that are a big project. Ones that you've got to fanny around with diffs and things like that. I haven't got the time for that, really, to be messing around with that kind of stuff. Whoops-a-daisy. But I love these ones that hopefully should be quite easy to do. Need a bit of radio gear. Needed a set of wheels. It's now got a set of wheels. Front diffs, rear diffs, all work. The suspension, a little bit bouncy. Might have to do a little bit of attention to that. I don't think there's a lot of oil left in that suspension somehow. Well, there's either, if there is any oil in it, I think it's very, very thin oil, because that's quite bouncy. So one of the little jobs probably be putting some shock oil in there. But what we need to do is we need to look at radio gear. So as far as radio gear goes, I've got quite a few Spectrums, but I've got no Spectrum transmitter anymore. I've got 4 Spectrums. I haven't got any Spectrum transmitters. There's a Futaba, but it doesn't bind to my Futaba transmitter. So what's this one? Okay, what is that? Absima model R3FS. I don't think this will bind to a Fly Sky, will it? This won't bind to a Fly Sky. Oh, what's this up here? Ah, there we go. We've got a Fly Sky receiver up here. I think I'll have to use this one. Don't know what it come from or what it's for. It's obviously found its way on that shelf. See, the stuff that ends up on shelves and in drawers around here, I haven't got a clue. I honestly have no idea what this is all about. So let's go and find another Savage to nick a battery from. If I remember correctly, I put my last remaining good hump pack in this Savage 25. So if that's true, I think I did. Anyway, I did. There it is. Yeah, because I put that Futaba receiver in it, and then I put this last remaining hump pack in here. This is the only one I've got left that works. I'll put that in here to test drive it, because I needed to test drive it. Because this isn't my Savage, this is a friend of mine's, and he bought it and then gave it to me and said, can you get it going? And he said, I want a receiver in it so that I can bind it to my Futaba T4PM transmitter. I said, alright, no problem. So I went and sorted all that out. Went down to good old Active Scale Models, which is the model shop, which is relatively local to me. It's about an hour away or so. Went and got the receiver, but I didn't get a battery. I didn't think about a battery, so I had to put my battery in it. Anyway, let's put this bat tray, this receiver, put you over there so you can see what I'm doing. Probably not see anything. Let's put this in there. I think this hopefully is already bound to my transmitter, because then that means I haven't really got to do anything. What is that? It looks like that used to be a sticky pad. I hopefully have. I might just use this little short one. Look. Oh, I'll cut the end of that off because it's obviously snapped. And then I'll use this little short antenna tube to put the antenna through. So this battery has got 2 cables, so that you can use either one for the power supply, and then you can just charge it up with the spare one. Now a lot of people seem to think, I've been reading a lot of the comments, don't worry, I do read a lot of comments. A lot of people say that these batteries, you can't charge it with the other wire. Of course you can, don't be a cock. Doesn't matter what wire you plug into the receiver, could be either one, and then which one you plug in. Oh, speaking of receiver, we haven't got a switch, have we? Okay, we'll have to sort of switch out. It doesn't matter which one you plug in where. You just use the other wire as the charging wire. Right, we haven't got a switch. So where does the switch normally go? I think the switch would normally go there. Or it might go there. I haven't looked at a Savage X for a long time. Here is supposed to be a battery charge indicator, but that's not there. Somebody's eaten that for breakfast one day, and someone's also cut out or snapped off these little things here. There would have been a little bit of tray there, but that's gone. So we've just got this lid on its own. So the switch would go in there, but I don't think any of the switches that I've got are capable of that. So we might have to literally go redneck style and just plug the battery directly into the receiver every time we want to have a go of it. There's a switch. That's a nice looking switch. Whether it works, that is literally... That's literally another question. Where would that switch go? Well, it's not going to fit in there, it's too small. I could mount it so that it pokes out of there, or I could mount it there. But nah, I think what we'll do, we're just going to go redneck. To be honest, if I'm truthful, I can't be bothered. I just can't be bothered with all of that. So what we'll do, every time we want to turn it on and off, we just have to take the lid off. That'll be nice and simple. Take the lid off, plug it in. Not going to bother with the switch. That can be the charging one. This one is the electricity. Negative goes there. It's come on, so it's a good sign. It's making funny looking noises. This one is the steering servo, so that one can go, I think that's the negative. I could be wrong. We'll find out. Didn't make any noise. Didn't make any noise. Yeah, we'll go that way around. Happy days. And this one is the throttle servo. That one goes in there like that. Oh, hello. So it's gone to full throttle for some reason. Okay, that sounds good to me. Let's turn this on. Oh yeah, it is already bound. Huh. Why is that like that then? That can't be very good, can it? Johnny boy, what are you doing to me, eh? I think Manuel and John, what they're doing is they've come together to find out. What's FS8? I've got this saved under FS8 for some reason. I don't really know what that's all about. TR1, FG 4-wheel drive, that one is. Savage SS, MTA, DBX. Oh my Gideon. I don't know where this receiver was. It might have been in the DBX. It might have been in the TR1. We'll put it as TR1 and then we'll come back. Now the steering trim. That's all the way that way. No. So the throttle, not the throttle, the steering is completely in the wrong place. So we need to sort that out. We'll do that. Let's set the steering trim. We'll set the steering trim all the way to 0. Right, the steering trim is set to 0. We know that it's already bound, we know everything's all good. We're not going to bother with any of these extra wires because we're literally just going to take the lid off and plug the battery in every time we want to use it anyway. I'm not going to bother with switches when it's something this easy. Trying to put a switch on here is not something that I'm particularly interested in at this day and age, if you know what I mean. We're just gonna go bareback, all right? Sometimes bareback is the best option. That goes through there, but also because we're missing the little tray thing which is supposed to go in here, it means we're missing the stuff what holds the receiver, and we're also missing the little bit there that the aerial tube would usually go on. So we're just going to put that. What's holding that? Oh, there's a wire there. Turn that. That's how it's going to be. It's going to rattle around in there, but there's just something that I don't necessarily care about. So I don't know whether you can see that in there. Probably can't get it at the right angle, but the steering, oh, is it still on? It's still bloody on, you cock. Right, put that over there. Right, so the steering, I forgot that it was on. It's on, and I've set the servo to the center. So we need to get our Allen key, and we undo that nut that you can't see because this the wrong way round. And then we take that out. Right, there's the screw. We take the servo horn off, and then we centre the steering to as straight as we can possibly get it by looking at it like that. Right, and then we put that on there. Ideally, the horn, hopefully you can see that servo horn there now, that should be relatively straight that way round, because it's a funny looking horn. It's not your normal sort of servo saver that a lot of Savages used to have. A lot of these ones seem to be having these type, which is, I don't know, it's easier to deal with, but it's slightly more gay in other ways. So now we've got straight wheels. Yeah, that's better. We need to sort that throttle out. I don't really know what that's all about. The throttle servo must be reversed, but I can't bloody remember. Oh, there it is, reverse. Yeah, it is. Oh, come on, you little bastard. Go. Normal. Right. What the bloody... Well, that didn't work. Right, what we've got, so I've managed to sort out the random, I don't know what, it doesn't matter if I put it in normal or reverse, it still went the same way, but I think I've sorted that out now. So as you can see, we've got the throttle set to 0, and it's already on full throttle. Look, that is full throttle, it won't really go any further. Brakes go to tick over, no brakes, and it's set to 0. So what we need to do, take off this lid, and we need to move that servo horn to the position where it's on tick over on the throttle. Somebody's set this up wrong. They've set it up where, for some, I don't know why they would have set this up like this. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't work anyway you put it. So I don't know why they probably just put this on in a random place, and that's that. But anyway, so there we go. That now is on tick over when the transmitter is also on tick over. Throttle set to 0. If we do full throttle, we actually get more than full throttle, so we need to adjust the end stop. Brakes. Oh dear, that's no good, is it? That's no good at all, there, Johnny boy. Hold on a minute. Before we test this is quite a strong servo, this one. It's a good servo. It's an original HPI servo, it's a good one. So let me put the nut, let me put the bolt in it so that it doesn't pop it off again. We don't want to chew those splines up. There we go. Right, so now we still get full throttle, great. Brakes, yep. There we go, that we've got brakes. There goes the tick over, that doesn't move the throttle. When we go from brake to tick over, doesn't move the throttle, and the brakes aren't on. And we've got no delay in the throttle, look. When I push the throttle, it moves instantly, look. Can you see it moving? Don't know whether you can. I think you probably can. So that is a properly set up throttle servo. So let's put that round there like that. I'm going to stick a little bit of I've got Velcro, or I've got a sticky pad. I don't really want to waste my sticky pads, if I'm honest, because I am going to be taking this off again. I'm just going to use a little section of a sticky pad, because when I sell this truck, it's not going to come with radio gear. None of my cars ever do come with radio gear. unless the person who buys it says to me, can you put radio gear in it, and then they pay the extra bit for the radio gear. Other than that, they don't come with radio gear, unless when I buy the truck it already has its own radio gear, in which case of course it'll come with that radio gear. But I normally, well, I say normally, quite often they come without any radio gear because someone's already nicked that. So I don't put any more in it because people just don't want to pay the money. Right, there we go. That is now, I need to put an air filter on it, but I can soon sort an air filter out there, Johnny boy. Look at this one, we've got a hobo filter here. We can always stick a hobo on it. We can stick a hobo on it, or I could take one of the filters off of one of my other Savages, and we could use that. But this hobo one will do the job just fine. There we go. Doesn't touch the spur gear. That's a dream, that is. An absolute dream. Oh, we need to sort out this exhaust mount. Right. I think I've got one of these. I think I've got one of the little springy exhaust mounts laying around in one of the parts boxes. So let me go and get a parts box and we'll have a look. Right. Always keep shoe boxes. They come in so handy. So this one, it's become a bit of a... It started off as a Savage parts box, and it's become just a bit of everything, really. It's got low C in there. I mean, it's a mess, but we'll have a look. I might have HPI. It's all just plastic parts. There's diff housings. What's that? There's one. Don't know whether that's the right one. Don't know whether that's going to be... I think that will work. I think that's a Savage exhaust hanger. If not, I know somewhere I have got a different style from a different model of Savage, because I saw it the other day when I was looking for some primer bulbs. The other day I was looking for primer bulbs because I've got this strimmer that I had to mend. By the way, that might be an interesting thing. If you're interested in small engine repairs and you want to see me repair a strimmer, I had to take the carburetor apart completely. I didn't have any diaphragms, so I had to get it running with the diaphragms that was quite hard, and I had to put a new primer bulb on this old strimmer. That one down there. Now it runs like an absolute dream. But if you want to see that kind of thing, if I remember, which I definitely won't, I'll put a link somewhere there or in the description so you can go and see that video. It might be interesting for you if you like small engines, and when they don't run, just getting them to a running point with no parts. Anyway, let's remove the Savage box, and I wondered to myself, I might even have one of them handles in all those spares. We'll have to see. Now that will bolt straight on there. The only thing is, I haven't got the correct bolt. I don't think. I think it comes from the back. Right, this is where the trusty parts, or the trusty nut and bolt drawer is going to come in handy again. Got to find a bolt that will fit in there, and I'm going to be able to screw it in from the back. It's going to be a little short one because I don't want it to be too long. What we got here? Is that one going to be any good? No, that one's eating all the pies. That one's a bit too fat. What about this one? Aha! There we go, look. Put that in there. What size is it? It's a 2.5mm. That might, as long as it's not too long, that might be the right one that we need. Let's see. You never know. You never ever know. If it is too long, I've got two choices. I find a shorter one, or I cut this one down. So here's our Savage. That goes through that hole. I've got to find a grub screw for that as well. That's going to be a pain in the bottom. Never mind. Right, so that goes through the hole in the exhaust. Then we can put our Allen driver through there. We can stick our bolt on that end of it. You probably can't see a single dicky bird what I'm doing. That then goes on there like that. Now we just screw like mad. And I reckon that chassis is going to be thick enough so that is going to work just fine. Look at that. Now we've got an exhaust hanger. What more could we actually ask for, eh? That is absolutely... All I've got to do is find a grub screw. Is there a grub screw in it? No. Typically, of course, there's no grub screw in there. But that exhaust isn't going to come off of that. So it's not urgent that I find a grub screw. But it should have a grub screw there, really. It goes in the end and it pinches the little piece of wire so the exhaust stays exactly put. But it's not going to go anywhere for the time being. So it's not imperative that I do such a thing. There we go. Let's put these tools away. Oh my giddy aunt, this is serious. Have you ever seen anything so serious in all your life? I bet you haven't, because I haven't either. You know, it's a crazy old life. Right. They stay there. Right, there we go. One Savage X. There we go, one Savage X now put together and is ready for a run. The only thing missing is obviously a shell, the inner part of the radio box, which I think I'm just going to not bother trying to find. I'm not bothered personally about having a switch or anything like that. I think when I sell this, I'll sell this to someone, and if they want to put a switch on it, they can put a switch on it. They're going to have to put radio gear on it anyway, but the radio gear that we got for testing is working fine. This Fly Sky is my testing radio equipment, by the way. I use the Fly Sky stuff for testing stuff. My own personal stuff is on through Taba, and well, that's just that. There's no more to it. I do need to have a look at the suspension, but I'll see how it drives, because I'm not going to go too far into it. We'll see. I think there is oil in there. I think it's just very thin oil, to be fair. I don't know. We'll have a look. Maybe. Thanks for watching, you lot. The next video that you see of this car will be on a test drive, and we'll see how it goes. And I definitely won't delete that footage. See you later.